Fabulous fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome for another edition of the 50-50 show, man. Hey, look, man, we appreciate y'all patience, man. And,
you didn't know?
50-50.
What's going on, man? Make sure you hit that like
Welcome
button.
to the 50-50 show with PharoahNFL and the Severe Raider, the realest show for Raider Nation.
The perpetuation of the greatness of the Raiders to take a professional football team and give it a distinct characteristic that's different from all others.
Make sure to clock in, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Hey, man, we appreciate everybody's patience, man. Hey, look, y'all already know what it is, man. It's the 50-50 show. We here every Monday nights. Y'all can count on that. But hey, man, shout out to the night crew, man. I know y'all in there, man. Appreciate y'all patience. We got people pulling up. Hey, Smoke, hey, you already know we still going live, man. Come on, man. You already know what it is, man. Appreciate you coming through, my guy. Hey, James Furpo, I got you. James, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. Appreciate you coming through. Hey, El Capitan Raf in the building. He says, what's up, Nation? Raf in the building. Hey, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. Make sure to subscribe to his channel. I know he's another Raider YouTube content creator, so make sure to support my guy. Space B says, 10:43, is that code for something? Hey, man. It might be, but it ain't Pyramid Night. Nah, I think what was the latest we ever went live? Was it?
Nah,
Like,
man, we went live like after post midnight. Went to like 12:30 one time, bro.
yeah, man. But what's up, Severe, man? What's going on with you, man? How you been?
Ah, man, I've been good, man. Had a smooth smooth holiday weekend. Man, how about yourself, man? How's everything been with you?
It's been cool, man. I just got back from the Big Sur. I don't know if you ever been, but it's man, it's probably one of the most beautiful drives that you can ever take, especially in California. It's a coastal drive, man. It's super nice. At this point in my life, I'm not a big on fireworks. I really don't care. But yeah, man, I've never been to Big Sur. Definitely check it out, man. It's super nice, man. If y'all follow me on IG, I was posting stuff on there, so make sure to follow me on there so you can see all the good stuff, man. And I might even show some stuff later today or later tonight. But let's get back to the chat. My guy, my two cents is he's just a simple, hey, Raiders chant. I got you, man.
Yes, sir.
This comes through. Appreciate the support. My 2 cents, man. That's a good name, man. It's a good name. But I appreciate you coming through. Huey P in the building, man. I see you.
Yes.
Raider Nation Vic, my guy in the building, man. Appreciate you coming through. SoCal Sal in the building, man. Appreciate you
always in the
through.
building.
Always coming through and showing love, man. Appreciate the support, man. Raider Spade in the building, man. Appreciate you coming through. Man, hey, man, we are in the thick of things, man. It's literally July, and we're talking Raider football. I always say this, man. Raiders football or football in general is 365 days out the year. But around this time, it kind of slows up a little bit. But we got some stuff to talk about, man. We got a few flags on the play, some notable quotables, some what's real, what's not. So stay tuned for that. But let's actually get into, I was just looking at like when the Raiders are actually going to be reporting. So I think from what I can see here, and I don't know if I want to put this on the screen, but the players report July 21st. The rookies do. The rookies report on July 21st, and the veterans report 2 days after that, July 23rd. Yeah. And if y'all know, this year the Raiders are going to be having training camp in Costa Mesa, and it's gonna be open to the public with the asterisk next to it, because you got to be a season ticket holder, I think, to even actually.
I believe so. Yeah.
So I don't even know. Like, let's say if you weren't a season ticket holder, like, would it even be possible for you to, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's in a public place, there might be that spot that you can get to where you can actually watch the practice. But I'm sure they did their.
I'm going to try.
Yeah,
I'm going to try. On behalf of the 50-50 show, I'll be there.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, man, if you do that, that's going to be big time right there, man. Big time for sure. But yeah, so, preseason schedule, they're going to play Vikings, Cowboys, the 49ers. But going into training camp, there's going to be a lot of position battles to look at. I think the number one thing, and I think every show we're going to touch on it. And I guess we could start off today. This show, we could talk about like the cornerback spot. I think that's probably one of the biggest position battles and that when I say that cornerback spot, that outside corner spot is up for grabs, whether it's Jacorian Bennett, we've talked about it before, or Brendan Facion. I think those are the two guys that we can expect to battle out on the outside as of right now, because we haven't seen any signing by the Raiders as of right now. But anything could happen, because last year, Marcus Peters, I know people don't want to remember that, but we did sign the veteran late in the offseason. When I say late, I mean like right before training camp, it felt like, right?
Yeah.
Kind of around July, maybe late. It was pretty late, I feel like. Was it?
It was pretty late. We brought him, and we brought the other guy in for tryouts, I want to say, or for workouts. And then we ended up going with Marcus Peters.
Yeah. No. And so anything could happen. We seen some early interest in some of the veteran corners on the market. I'm sure like they're waiting for the right price. And if the veterans are willing to go down on their contract demands, because at this point they're trying to go to a situation that fits them, but also if they go to any situation, they probably want to get paid, depending on what the motivation is for the player. Because Marcus Peters, you could argue, was he all the way in? You know what I mean? Maybe it was the Josh McDaniels effect. Maybe because obviously it was a team that he grew up watching. So Josh McDaniels being the head coach, we've seen, because remember during the year we seen some posts that Marcus Peters was liking, and it was going at Josh McDaniels. So maybe that was the first sign of it not going too well. But it is what it is. That's in the past. But as of right now, the outside corner spot to me is one of the biggest position battles, and that's something that we could keep an eye on. But what are your thoughts on that cornerback spot, man? I know we talked about it, but what are your thoughts on who might have an edge right now?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think just about everybody that watches the channel, if you're new to this channel, everybody knows I was highly, highly in favor of drafting a cornerback in the first round, especially since, we would have had an opportunity to trade back and get a guy. That's what I really wanted to do. Right now, I think it's much like the quarterback situation and Aiden statue. It's much like the quarterback situation, whereas you have a young guy kind of in their second year. They showed some flashes last year. Then you have like an older guy, a little bit more established, maybe not quite the same upside, but you know what, maybe a steady hand at that position. And I think that the Raiders, and that's Brandon Facyson. Obviously, the former was Jacorian Bennett. I think all things being equal, the Raiders would prefer Jacorian Bennett take the leap and take over the reins of that job. If for nothing else, then he's a young guy with some upside, a little bit more athletic. So I think that's what they would prefer. But they kept Brandon Facyson around last year for a reason. And, whether that be quality depth or maybe that be potential future starter, we don't know that as of yet. But I think this is going to be a knockdown, drag out battle, and may the best man win. But I think the Raiders would prefer to be Bennett. But just like I think some of the stuff he's lacking at the position, I think you rather have a guy that does less harm than a guy that makes more plays, if that makes sense, especially in this kind of defense. So I think they may end up, if they see that Brandon Facyson is a guy that's a little bit more steady, maybe not the same ball production, but he's a guy that's very technical, not going to get beat. If that's the case, then I think he'll end up being the guy that takes over the job.
I think, to be fair though, I think the Raiders would want for Jacorian Bennett to take that spot.
Yeah,
because he's the younger player. You have him on a cheap contract. A guy like Brandon Facyson, you made a point that they brought him back, but I think he initially signed like a 2-year deal. So, but that was the previous regime, and we know what happened when Telesco came, and he started looking at some of the former players that he had on the roster that he end up cutting, and we were kind of looking at Brandon Facyson. Maybe he was going to be one of those guys that, and who I'm talking about is actually, I think early
Gary
on,
Tillery
and DJ Fluker.
Yeah,
both were like former Charger players. Telesco comes over, instantly cuts him. And I thought Tillery probably played his best football as a Raider. Yeah. If I don't know if that's saying much, but I felt like he was playing inspired football under AP. Was versatile. They were moving around the D line, but as soon as Telesco came over, they let him go. So it is what it is. But yeah, man, that's probably one of the biggest position battles, to figure out who's going to be on that starting outside spot. We'll see how that shakes out. And as of right now, there's not going to be a veteran. Things can easily change if they sign like a veteran. Then that makes the things a little bit more interesting. Would you say if they sign a veteran corner, does that say how much they feel about that outside corner spot as far as the players that are competing right now? Because Brandon Facyson right now and Jacorian Bennett are kind of battling out. If they sign a veteran, they for sure are not confident in them starting. Because last year, it was a different story. It was like you got Jacorian Bennett, who was a rookie, who actually ended up starting. Didn't he end up starting last season?
I want to say he started week 1. Yeah, he started week 1.
Started week 1 with Peters, right?
Exactly. So that's why I say the case last year was a little bit different, because last year we were basically coming in like we had no real established outside guys. I think for the previous year, they had tried Nate Hobbs on the outside. And people forget, early on, he had some success. Like, I want to say maybe through the first 3 games, he was like one of the highest rated corners according to PFF. Then he got hurt, and then they tried to stick him back out there, and he was never really the same again on the outside. So I think they just were resigned to keep him in the nickel. So we had no real established outside corner. So that's why it made the need for a free agent signing and Peters a little bit more urgent. So this year we got Jack Jones, right? We got Jack Jones. We know that spot is solidified. He's should be our number one corner. We're hoping he continues what he did down the stretch last year. Now it's just that spot opposite of him. If we bring in a veteran guy, I think that does say hey, you know what? Well, whatever we have here it's not getting it done, because not only do we have Ja'Cory Bennett, we have Brandon Facyson. We spend the 3rd round pick on DeCameron Richardson. We still have Sam Webb. I want to say he's still around. We drafted MJ Devonshire. We picked up 2 other guys two other UDFAs whose name escaped me right now. So we put a lot. We threw a lot at that wall, right, hoping something would stick. And if nothing is sticking and we have to go out and we have to get a guy, that I think that does say, hey, you know what? That other cornerback spot is a serious concern.
Yeah, no, and it's funny too, and Alex says Gilmore about the only guy worth signing for the Raiders at this point for the right price, if he comes in for the right price. But I think at this point, I'm not sure if he comes to the Raiders. It's just the motivation might not be there, because he might want to get paid, and he probably might think other offers might be better. He might want to go back home. I think he did play for Carolina. I thought people were surprised that he went to Carolina, but I think he's from that part of the woods over there. I think he's from out there. So that's, I don't know if Carolina would be a spot for him, but I think we always see it when players, they'll eventually they go back home. Sometimes they'll sign a contract. You'd be like, why did they go to that team? Oh, it's because he's from the area. He's closer to home. So I don't know if the Raiders will be a fit, because there's been a few times, and we've talked about this, the night shift, the night crew, y'all brought this up before. How many times has Gilmore had a chance to sign with the Raiders and he passed? So, at this point, hey, man, it's all good. We don't want to sign y'all, man. We don't want to sign someone who don't want to be here.
Yeah,
at the end of the
Gilmore
day,
is the cornerback equivalent of Ndamukong Suh, where it's like every year, we're going to get Suh. And then it's never happened.
Yeah. He's just going to the highest bidder or whatever he circled in his on his board as the team that he wants to go to. But it is what it is. But I'm not as concerned about the corner spot for some reason. I'm just looking at this D line, man. I'm just like, and someone in the chat said, look, Raider Nation Vic, I posted this earlier. He said D line will make our secondary better. Facts.
No, facts.
100%, man. And hopefully Jack Jones can capitalize on the season that he had. Well, not the season. He got signed when did he get signed? It was late in the season, right? He got cut by the Patriots.
Yeah, we picked him up off
what
waivers.
Game was it the Giants game that he came on? Which game was it that he was his first game as a Raider? I'm gonna try to look that up. Y'all,
I don't recall. This is just the Giants or the I don't recall.
Let me see. I'm trying to remember. When was Jack Jones' first game as a Raider, man? I know the chat help us out here. It was later in the season, but I think
it was later in the season.
So,
It had to be around the time. It had to be around the time AP took over, because AP is the one that vouched for him. So it either had to be the Giants game or the Jets game, I want to say.
So I'm looking at it here. It was the Minnesota game.
The Minnesota game was his first one. Okay.
Yeah. He might have got picked up before then, but Minnesota game is when they have him on the stat sheet.
Okay.
So Minnesota game, and he played, obviously, that Chargers game. Man, he hit the ground running.
No,
that's crazy. Just to put that in perspective, his first game was against Minnesota. The Raiders lose 3-0, right? Then he plays that Chargers game. We remember that pick six, that crazy pick six that he had.
Yeah.
And then the following week, another pick six that he had on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Man, and he finished the season strong for the Raiders. So hopefully he can capitalize and then just like my guy Raider Nation Vic says, hey, that D line, man, if they bring that pressure, it's gonna make that much easier for the secondary. Let's get into the chat. Oh man, 415 man. Oh hell, King Niner. Oh man, come on, bro.
He's a Raider fan, bro. We already know he's a Raiders fan, bro.
Come on, man. You just admit it. Just admit
he's
it.
a Raider fan, bro.
Yeah,
he's a Raiders fan.
Just
it's all good, bro. It's all good. It's cool, man.
No, fact. Raiders Rebel in the building, man. Appreciate you coming through. He says, if they go sign a vet, that takes away a roster spot from one of the young studs. In my opinion, can we have a couple? Yeah. I mean, and they kind of drafted a couple of players like Zamir mentioned too as well. So they might want to give them an opportunity. And just like Jacoin, they might be comfortable. And if they're comfortable with that, hey, I'm good. Like, because at the end of the day, I don't think we're depending on secondary to play great football. We just need them to play solid, decent. Because I think the strength of this team or strength of this defense is definitely going to be that D line. So, man, D's on the beat. Says Raider family, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. Hey, man, appreciate all. Hey, make sure, man, if you just joining us, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe and all that and that notification. We're going live on both our channels, so if you're not subscribed to both, make sure to do so. And hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because we're going to keep coming back and doing this, man. We appreciate the support. But let's not waste any time, man. Let's actually get into, hey, man, Severe's favorite segment, man, right here, man. Flag on the play, man.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
Hey, man, it's that time, man. Hey, look, this is where we kind of talk about certain things that we have. We got to call a flag on it. We have an issue with it. It could be Raider related. It could be anything that's going on around football. And to be honest with you, we can open it up and talk about anything else too that we have an issue with. But we're gonna stick to football right now. And one of the biggest flags was the Panthers owner, and we don't know. This is just speculation at the end of the day, but the internet is crazy. The internet is crazy, but let me go ahead and share this. But there was a trending topic here, and Nicole Tepper, wife of Panthers owner David, was being asked for her input on draft picks during the draft. Man,
crazy.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. Like, as a Raider fan, we've seen all types of dysfunction, but we've never seen that. We've never seen. At all. Come on, man. Like, she's actually in, and I'm going to go ahead and play this clip here. And it's a short clip. But it's just, I don't know why. It just doesn't seem like a good look that she's talking about her favorite player. But let me go ahead and play this clip here. And y'all be the judge. It's just it's a really short clip. And let's see here. Boom. Let's see. Boom.
He's like, would you trade up for the guy that I like? I said, yeah.
So y'all, if y'all can hear, I mean, it's hard to hear a little bit, but from the text is kind of cut off. But what she's saying, she's talking probably to an exec on the team, and she's like, he's like, would you trade up for a guy that I like? I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know if it seems right that she's talking about the player that she likes. That means, and the thing is, she's in that room, and I feel like she probably holds a lot of power because she's the owner's wife. And if she's in that room and she's talking to these guys that make decisions for the football team, I'm sure they're like, well, in order to keep our job, we got to make sure we get the player that they want. But what were your first thoughts when you first seen this trending topic also on the internet, man?
Yeah, my first thoughts is that's how you end up with Bryce Young instead of CJ Stroud. That's how you end up with Bryce Young instead of CJ Stroud, like bro. Man. It's like, but it's like, I have mixed feelings about it, man, just because at the end of the day, even though she is the wife, all that stuff is community property, man. So technically she owns the team too, for the time being. So, it's if she wants to do like if she has a guy that she likes for whatever reason, maybe she likes his hair, he has a cool name or something like that. She wants to trade it, maybe that's, hey, Like, let her do that. That is one less team in front of us we have to worry about making good decisions. You feel me? So let her do her thing, man. Let her do her thing. Let her have input on all of these picks.
Smoke. So it was the Giants game. That's what I thought. It was the Giants game, but he wasn't on the stat sheet, so I guess we weren't able to say that. So it might have been the Giants game.
Maybe he didn't play. Maybe he didn't play.
Yeah, he didn't play. They probably signed him that week, and he just didn't play or whatever. But okay, I'm in the Giants game. Who's Raider Logan? We're gonna get into it. That's actually the next flag on a play. We're gonna get into that in a second, man. Who's hating on Christian Wilkins, man? We're gonna talk about it, man. Alex says, "Wow, Panthers team management, yeah." The things that have been coming out of that building since within the last year, Severe, you touched on it. The fact that they didn't go C.J. Stroud when the coaching staff they reportedly wanted C.J. Stroud, and the owner wanted Bryce Young, which I'm still a Bryce Young guy, but I just think that whole situation is so toxic that we see it all the time, man. Anytime you see a player go to a bad situation, it could really ruin the trajectory of his career. So I hope Bryce Young could turn out to be a good player, but man, that organization, I don't know, man. If you're a Panthers fan out there, man, it's whew. I'm glad I'm a Raider fan. Diesel, yeah, hey man, I seen that. Yeah, I'll see the Zamir White man look like a. But we've been seeing it all offseason. That I think there was that video of him hitting weights,
doing curls,
exactly.
Doing curls.
Yeah. But we've been seeing it all offseason though. At the end of the day, Zamir White is preparing to be the starting running back for the Las Vegas Raiders. So he's gonna do whatever it takes. I hope he puts out. I think. Would you say Zamir White is the biggest X factor on offense?
I will say yeah. I will say yes. No. I still gotta go quarterback. I think he's number two. I think we want to be a run first team, but I think that at the end of the day, this is a passing league, and we're going to have to be able to throw the ball and create some scoring opportunities through the air in order to be competitive, especially with the schedule that we have this year. So, I think he is a huge factor, especially with this outside zone scheme. I think that, at the end of the day, quarterback, this is a quarterback league. It's a quarterback-driven league. All the biggest stars are quarterbacks. All the best teams, that have won the Super Bowls, they've had star quarterbacks. So I think that it's going to be on Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but I just feel like the expectations for the quarterback is not high, and I think what the Raiders are looking at of the quarterback position is not high either. They're not expecting them to take over games, but a guy like Zamir White, I feel like, and shout out to Marcus from Tape Don't Lie, he pointed this out, how much the run game is going to have an impact on this Raiders offense, because if you over here going to be putting out 2 tight ends, 12 personnel, you're going to have to run the ball.
Yeah.
So a guy like Zamir White, man, I think him, coming out and having a really good season is going to impact that offense, going to impact the team. And I think, hey, man, we see it all the time, man. Defensive head coaches, they their identity, you could tell, they want to build a physical team. They want to run the ball, because it's complementary football. So if Zamir White has a big season, man, that's going to be huge for the Raiders team for sure, without a doubt. Diesel says that's how you create beef between owners and players. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's how players be like, you know what? It's time for me to go.
Nah,
It's time
fact.
for me to go somewhere else. It is what it is, man. But oh damn. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to ban you.
Yes.
Hey, you got to go, man. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Whew.
Well, say, but I mean, ideally, from what we've been hearing from the coaching staff, is that they want this to be a run first team. And while I do believe that is true, it's still going to be a committee system. I think Zamir is going to be the head of it all. He's going to be the tip of the spear. he's going to be the primary back, but we are going to have a committee system. I think he's going to get touches. Madison's going to get touches. If Amir Abdullah's still around, he's going to get touches. Dylan Lobby, we expect him to be part of it as well. So we also expect Brock Bowers to get some touches in the run game. Maybe Trey Tucker to get his hands on the ball in some running situations as well. So I think that we're going to attack it multiple ways. That's why I don't put as much onus on Zamir solo as I do on whoever the starting quarterback is, whether that be Aiden O'Connell or whether that be Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna, as much as I hope, Dylan Lobby is gonna be a factor in this offense, I'm not gonna expect it. Year one rookie running back, but when you have a running back like Zamir White who finished the season strong, and now he's gonna be given like full reign, like he's gonna have the ability to start the season, even though I know it's gonna be running back by committee, but to a certain extent. Zamir White, man, if he's that guy, he's going to be getting the ball he's going to get the majority of the carries.
Yeah.
I just think, man, hey, man, you know what? Shout out to Raiders Smoke. Appreciate the super chat. He says QB for show, biggest question mark, season falls on a QB. I get that. I feel like that's the easy answer. I'm just saying the expectations ain't high for the QB. It's not really high, and I feel like I'm thinking they're not going into the season thinking like, oh, the quarterback is gonna make or break the Raiders season as far as, like they're not gonna really depend on him to take over games is what I'm trying to say. So they're gonna be managing the games. So in order to if you're gonna want your quarterback to manage the game, you definitely want to have a run game, and that starts with Zamir White. Zamir White got to have a big season. You could tell like he's taking up that challenge. You can see all these off-season photos, but it is what it is. It's that time of year, it's slow season. So a lot of people are talking about, workouts and this, that, and the third, but we'll see how it looks in training camp when they put the pads on preseason. And obviously the first few games of the season, we'll see how Zamir White looks, because the Raiders seem pretty confident because they didn't really attack that running back position
at all.
And there were some running backs available too. There were some running backs available, like there's some good running backs.
They let a guy walk out the door,
Pretty much,
so.
Man. And that says a lot about Telesco and his philosophy and how he views the running back position. So that's a whole different conversation, man. Smoke, man, I appreciate the super chat as always, man. Appreciate the super chat, man. But we're not done. We're not done, man. We have another flag on the play, and this one, and I think y'all alluded to it earlier. There's some hate on Christian Wilkins. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on the screen, man. Let me – hold on one second. So every year there's this show called Hard Knocks, and, where they follow a team. They're in the building. They got cameras everywhere. The NFL it's also an entertainment business at the end of the day. So they're gonna try to sell as much as they can and try to dramatize everything. And there was a part on the Hard Knocks episode where they were talking about like they were trying to attack the free agency and the off season and how they could complement one of their best players on the team, Dexter Lawrence. And a guy that you guys might be familiar with, his name came up as a guy that they can possibly attack and maybe get. That didn't end up happening. The Raiders ended up getting Christian Wilkins, signed him to a big time contract. But it was interesting what the Giants scout was able to say about and how they viewed a guy like Christian Wilkins. And to me, it sounded like hate, man, to be honest with you. Or they didn't do their due diligence, because the things that they were saying about him, and I'm going to play the clip, and I'm going to let y'all hear it real quick. So let's go ahead and play the clip. Here we go.
Christian, same thing. This is Dexter's best friend. I don't think he's a difference-making pass rusher on third down, which is what we need opposite Dex. But a really good football player will do well for himself.
Dex texted me about him the other day.
Who did?
Dexter asked what we thought. So.
Yeah, they're really close. Obviously, Leo.
Plenty to ponder.
So if y'all heard him, and I don't know if it was super loud on your end, I don't know if you could hear it, But
Yeah, Garrett.
all right, and he basically was saying that Christian Wilkins is not a guy that they view as a difference maker on third down. What was interesting, he had a big time year last year. He had 8 sacks at that D tackle position, which is big when you're rushing from the inside. And half of his 66 pressures came on third down. He literally had 30 of his pressures came on third down. So
yeah,
it was kind of a questionable comment.
He was second in the league in pressures at defensive tackle on third down, I think only behind Quinnen Williams. So, I mean, the fact that they're saying, like you said, it's obvious that they didn't do their due diligence in this situation, because like that statement it's like not only do the stats not bear that out, but the eye test doesn't bear that out either. Like, he's obviously a guy who's out there wreaking havoc. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, man. And the thing is, too, is the Christian Wilkins played the Giants last year, and he had a sack against them, too. So, so he had a pretty...
On third down, I want to say, too. Yeah. On third
down. one of his 8 sacks, you know what I mean, his career year came against the Giants. So I was like, are you mad that you're not going to have a chance to get him, so you just want to make it sound good that, oh, you know what, we don't even value him like that. But look, his boy, Dexter Lawrence, I'm sure probably vouched for him. Was like, hey, because I think if you heard, the GM was actually one of the scout and the GM were talking about Christian Wilkins, and the GM was like, hey, like, he talked about Dexter Lawrence, reaching out to him about a possible chance of, like, maybe reuniting with his former college teammate. Obviously, that didn't happen. We're glad he's with Raider Nation. He's with the Raiders. Right. The rest is history. But I hope Christian Wilkins sees his clip, though, too. I hope he sees his clip and he uses his motivation, man, because, man, that's some hate right there, especially to a guy that just got signed a big-time contract and had a big year. He's like, what, like, not a big-time player on third down? Man, the amount of one-on-ones he might see next year, especially with Max Crosby. I think the outside guys are probably going to see more one-on-ones compared to Christian Wilkins just because he's on the inside.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that's just what it is. But man, that's a flag on a play, man. Look, hey, at the end of the day, like, we got to call it how we see it. Let's get to the chat real quick, man, and see what y'all think about it too as well. Let's see here. Huey P says idiot. Hey, SoCal Sal says, hey, they're always hating, man. You know what it is, man. If you're a Raider fan, you know what it is. They did want to pay him, Marty Mart. So, he's saying they wanted to pay him. So it's interesting that we see that on Hard Knocks.
I think Marty Mart's talking about Josh Jacobs.
Oh, you talking about Josh Jacobs?
I could be a mistake. I think I could be mistaken on that, but I think he's talking about Josh Jacobs.
Okay. Raider Nation Vic says the Giants, the team that gave Jones that's terrible. Yeah. I never really understood that contract. I never really understood, like, what did they see in him outside of 1 year? Like, to me, it makes more sense to probably franchise him.
Because they were so that contract that year. Because I remember that year. I remember what happened that year. So Daniel Jones goes not crazy, but he has a good year. He leads them to the playoffs. They have to make a decision, right? Because they have to make a decision between him and between Saquon. So they decided to sign him, and then so they would have the franchise tag available so they can franchise Saquon. So that's essentially what happened with them. So they chose to bet on the quarterback over the running back.
Aiden Statue O'Connell says Chris Rossetti said that, and he was a scout for the Dolphins for 5 years. Think he was just trying to save face for the Dolphins for letting him walk. Interesting. Hey, man. Hey, my guy Aiden, salute to you, man. I think earlier you were talking about the whole setup for Costa Mesa. I think he was talking about how, like, I think you got to be season ticket holders. I think he was confirming
or invite only.
Yeah. So, hey, man. Hey, Severe, man. You might get that invite. Who knows, man?
Man, I'm gonna put in. I'm gonna make some calls, man. If only Mark Davis had a wife, I could call.
For real. He almost had a baby mom's though earlier.
Man, exactly, man, right?
I feel like, hey, Diesel says, I feel like he gonna wreck shop, man. That's what I'm saying. It just like, that's crazy that's gonna come out, and now like we're gonna go back to this clip. Best believe if Christian Wilkins has a great season for the Raiders, which I believe that he's gonna have a good season with the Raiders, especially with the talent that we have on the D-line. It's not like we're depending on him to be a superstar.
No.
Because we already have that superstar in Max Crosby. So it is what it is, man. The Giants, the Giants still think Waller is showing up. Yeah, that's a terrible trade for them. Terrible trade. And we'll actually talk about that in a second, actually. No, because I think we're talking about something. Or later on the show, we're talking about something else. Oh, so I might as well. It was kind of interesting that if y'all go ahead and check out shout out to the Rush podcast with Max Crosby. He had Richie Incognito last week. It was a pretty good episode, and the topic of Darren Waller came up and how talented he was. And I believe Max or Incognito was like, after a season or two, Gruden went up to like Max or Incognito was like, man, like this is the best player I've ever coached.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And this probably came out before. I feel like this came out before, but it confirms, what we kind of know already. But for them to come out and say that, I'm like, damn, Gruden has coached a lot of good players.
Yes.
He's coached a lot of good players. For him to say that, man, that just speaks to Darren Waller and his talent.
He coached Jerry Rice and Tim Brown.
That's what I'm saying. But to be fair though, it was kind of like later in their career.
They're in their twilights of their career. They still put up 1,000 yards each. I want to say like something crazy. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah. Marty Marsh says Wilkins didn't want to pay him. Jacobs too, Zamir. Okay. So he was talking about Jacobs.
He was talking about. Okay, no, I think he was talking about Wilkins in that situation, but he Jacobs was another situation where we didn't want to pay Jacobs.
Yeah. Two Stock says they also weren't aware that Philly was interested in Saquon. They're highly. Yeah, man. Hey, the way they're running their organization right now. Hey, right now. Hey, I'm glad to be a Raider fan right now. Hopefully, everything's in the up and up for the team. But yeah, the Giants. That someone made a good point. They're the team that gave Daniel Jones a big time contract and let a talented player who literally was their offense, their best player on offense, let him walk and go to. And I don't understand he plays that running back position, but I feel like there's certain players where you can make an exception for. And I feel like a guy like Saquon could have been a guy they could have made an exception if they made the right type of deal, maybe like made it incentive based or whatever. Because I'm sure he wanted to stay in New York. But it is what it is.
I don't know. I mean, the Titans. I mean, not like the Titans are a model organization, but they let Derrick, like all these backs are going somewhere else. Joe Mixon somewhere else. Derrick Henry somewhere else. Josh Jacobs somewhere else. All these these high profile backs, they're going else because it tells you, man, like this is a quarterback league, man. This is a quarterback league.
It's a quarterback league, and they're going to teams that are kind of established. Or have in recent memory
have quarterbacks.
History of winning. They have quarterbacks.
Most of these guys are going to teams that have quarterbacks, right?
That's true.
So, like,
yeah, man, it is what it is, man. But 415 is still at it, man. We know you're a Raider fan, man. Just give it up. Just give it up. We know you're a Raider fan. Mark Davis still got a Rolodex.
For sure, dude. You for sure do, man. Mark Davis playing T.I. Bring him out.
Up for review. Hey, my guy, he said, some fellas, Max Crosby, sad to say, is not a superstar. Not yet. Nah, man. Hey, man, I know what you're doing here, man. I disagree. 100%. This is, come on.
I feel what he's saying.
For sure.
I feel what he's saying. I feel what he's saying. I understand what he's saying. I don't necessarily. He's a superstar talent, but he hasn't reached superstar status because we haven't been winning.
But define what do you mean by superstar status? I say that he's a superstar based off You just mentioned talent,
production, yeah.
And how he's literally the face of the franchise right now. He's carrying the franchise. He's the leader of the team. Like, he's leading by example. I think he's a great player without a doubt, and he's a top 3 player in his position. If that top 4, top 5 at his position, and it's really close. Like, 1 week you can give it to TJ, 1 week you give it to Max Crosby. That position right now is like top. I think you got TJ Watt, you got Parson. I'll take Max over Parson just because Max is a better overall player. TJ Watt, I understand why you would go that route just based off history and production that he's. Myles Garrett, I get it. Nick Bosa. Yeah. But if you look at the numbers, they're like pretty comparable. So
but that's why you would say that he's not a superstar in terms of talent, right? He's quite positive. He's arguably the best defensive player in the league. But the face of the franchise right now is still probably Devontae. I think Max for on the outside looking in, the face of the franchise is Devontae, right? The leader of the team is Max. But the outside looking in, you name people to name a Raider, most people are gonna name Devontae if you're not a Raider fan. That's just the facts of the matter.
Because of Aaron Rodgers. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, because of Devontae, he's established as a superstar. He played on successful teams, so he became a household name. Like, Max isn't a household name outside of Raider Nation.
Devontae Adams is a great player, but what also helped is that he played with a premier quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Literally, him and Aaron Rodgers like 1-2 combo. So that helped with his I don't know how you want to say it, like
his notoriety.
Just people knowing who he is. Yeah. Because there's certain players that are great that no one knows, and you're not going to consider him a superstar. Like, it's just kind of, it's a hard. I think he's reached that status, bro. I think last season he established that. In my opinion. I don't know, but hey, look, it's a good conversation to have. I already know what you're trying to do, man. You're trying to debate here. But Aiden Statue O'Connell says Incognito love that dude, but he is nuts. Not sure how he avoided prison or Pattison's cell. But would you want that in your offensive guard? I think a lot of people would want that. They would want that type of crazy as an offensive guard. You know what I mean? Because you want them to be physical. You want to be tough. Let me get through here, man. Man, we got people coming through, man. All eyes on G, man. Appreciate you coming through. Barkley made a good choice leaving the Giants. Facts, Alec. Yeah, I mean, hey, they're all going to established teams. The Eagles, man, they just every year super talented. It seems like they got so much talent. Raiders solo, and that's a crazy. How did you do that? Like, how did you? Man, that's a crazy name right there. How you did the little text. That's crazy. Hate to say it, but we are literally a QB away from going to the Super Bowl. I really hope AOC Minshew. Yeah, and you know what? Let me know if this is a flag on the play. We weren't going to talk about this, but there was a recent article on Bleacher Report where they named teams that they've picked out and said that need to tank based off their situation, and the Raiders were one of those teams. And the biggest thing that they were saying about the Raiders is the fact that the QB, their franchise QB, is not on the roster. You got a bridge QB in Minshew, then you got AOC, who, his ceiling and the expectations are not really high. Look, that's crazy to say. That's crazy to even say tanking at this point in the offseason. I don't believe in that. I don't think coaches and players are going to go into the season talking about. But he's saying that maybe a guy like Telesco will make some moves to, but I don't think Telesco was hired to do something like that. I don't think Telesco was hired with the expectations that he was going to be able to build a winner in the Raiders. And they're trying to win now. Because if you think about it, a lot of their moves kind of are like centered around like winning now. The last two offseasons, would you say the Raiders are rebuilding right now? I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't. Even though you would probably want them to possibly rebuild, some people might say, "Oh, they need to rebuild because whatever X, Y, and Z." Based off the moves that they made, I just don't feel like when you hand a 4-year, $100-something million contract to Christian Wilkins. That's not a rebuild type of move. Like, if
Devontae still being here, that's not a rebuild. Like, like if you're trying to rebuild, the first thing you do is probably trade Devontae. Like, he's an older. Devontae doesn't match up with that timeline of a rebuild, right? Max, you can justify paying Max because Max is still in his, he's still like not even fully in his prime yet. So you can justify, hey, we can give this guy his money, and in 4 years he's still going to be a very good player. In 4 years, Devontae is going to be, on the decline. So you can justify trading Devontae, saying, hey, what, pick up these assets and go young, and then try to build that way. So the fact that we pay Christian Wilkins and we're still paying Devontae, it lets me know that, hey, what, they're in the pursuit of winning now. Do I think they're gonna like magically have some crazy playoff run this year? Barring a miracle from AOC or Minshew, probably not. But we put ourselves in prime position next year to do something, and hopefully, if it's one of those guys at quarterback, they take a leap next year. Or we can make some moves up in the first where we're just a quarterback away, then you can get kind of aggressive in the draft and move up and get a guy.
Yeah, Ray Love, that late night crew facts. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We are going live on both our channels. So if you're not subscribed to both channels, make sure to subscribe. I'm right there at 5, right there around the corner from 5K. So I appreciate the support. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And my guy, Severe, man, make sure to subscribe to his channel, like the video, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. We appreciate the support. It's a good question. And Huey P says his production alone speaks volumes. So I'm assuming that you're speaking about Max, 2-time second team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler. I think, so when you say that he's not a superstar, are you saying on how the league views him based off the Raiders not winning? So he just needs to win, and then he's a superstar.
Exactly. So it's not anything to do with talent or production. It has everything to do with how he's perceived writ large, right? People who are football fans, they know of Max Crosby. They know he's a good player, but I don't think they hold him in the same regard as Raider fans do. They love him, like, oh, Max, he's a good player. But I think once we establish ourselves as a good team, that he'll start getting the recognition that he deserves as, one of the best defensive players in the league, if not the best defensive player in the league. So I don't think he's there yet. I think guys like Nick Bosa gets that love. Michael Parsons gets that love. Myles Garrett gets that love. Max Crosby doesn't get that love from the majority of the fan bases around the league. I think we're in the Raiders bubble, so we're like, oh yeah, man, all these guys these guys over here, they speak highly of Max, and I know some guys that. But if you ask the average fan, NFL fan, that who's the top 5 best defensive players in the league, they probably don't name Max Crosby, and they should. He should be, if not the first name on the list, like one of the first 2 or 3.
But look, all right, Myles Garrett. I think he's like a popular name as a guy that's probably the best, pass rusher in the league, right? You see him come up on the top of a lot of lists for best pass rushers, right? But have the Browns made the playoffs how many times in his career?
Maybe just once. But I think the difference is that Myles Garrett was the number 1 overall pick. So that's where there's a difference.
There you go. So it's a little bit of bias right there.
Yeah,
it's a little bias right there. But just to change the topic real quick, Raider Nation Vic says, "What is a successful year for AOC?"
I don't know. I mean, look, the way some of these Raider fans be talking about him, I just be like, if this dude don't come out and put up like a Pro Bowl season, it's a disappointment. Like I'm not expecting a crazy year from Aiden O'Connell, man. I'm expecting, 20-some touchdowns. Low teens interceptions, hopefully like 11, 12-ish interceptions, somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000 yards, hopefully like in that range. Like that's what I'm expecting. Anything above that, I'm gravy with. I think with this defense, that'll get the job done. But you know, I don't know. But some of these people, like you talk to, like this anecdotal, but I talk to some people and they're like, oh my god, like Aiden O'Connell, he's about to take the league by storm. And I'm like, yo man, pump your brakes, pump your brakes. You know.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you with the 20-something touchdowns. Maybe if he throws under 10 interceptions, that's a huge win. But I think probably 10 plus interceptions, maybe 12 or 13, and then he gets up there in the 20 to 20. That's solid. I mean, because look, at the end of the day, I'm not looking for him to be like I said this. We can't go into the expectation and if he does carry some Raider wins, oh, that's a huge plus. But I don't think the expectations is that, oh, Aiden O'Connell is going to be an MVP caliber quarterback. Nah, that's not the expectation. So I think, and that goes back to my original point earlier. I think Zamir White is the biggest. Telling you right now, that is what I'm hoping. I hope that we can get a big season out of him. And what a big season out of Zamir White should be the question. What is a successful year out of Zamir White? I think that's a better question. What does a successful year look like for Zamir White? And I think for Zamir, if we can get, 1,200 yards, 10 plus touchdowns, whoo, that's big time.
That's good. I think that's good.
Big time. If you just think about the amount of weapons that we have on offense, and if he could be a red zone, and it's possible too. You got a guy like Getsy who's coached some top running offense. Now, some people might say, "Oh, that was skewed by Justin Fields or whatever." Hey, the Raiders were able to play against a Bears team without a Justin Fields, led by an undrafted free agent QB, and they were able to run the ball all over the football field. And I think Antonio Pierce remembered that, especially when he was interviewing OCs. I remember that. If you guys remember that that Bears and Raiders game, maybe if he can bring that to this Raiders offense, the ability to run the football, with whoever's back there, but especially Zamir White, that's big time. And
that's what Deontay Foreman was running back that game, right?
Deontay Foreman, a career journeyman running back,
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So and it might be, this is the off season where the coaches and everybody's gonna hype up everybody, but the way Getsy was talking about Zamir White, he was like, he's never coached a running back with that type of physical talent. Yeah. You know what I mean? As far as the speed, with his size and speed, which to me, that's like, oh, okay, so what does that mean for the offense? That's gonna be, that's something to look at, man. I think Zamir White is a guy that what would you say a successful year for Zamir White is?
I'm on those same numbers, 1,200, 1,300 yards, like 12-ish touchdowns. He needs to average like somewhere between like 3.9, 4.2 yards per carry, somewhere in that range. Preferably above, like 4 and above. But I can see it being like, because he'll probably be the guy who gets the short yardage carries a lot of times. So that might drag his average down a little bit. So somewhere between 3.9 and 4.2 yards carry, I think is good. It's good for him. And just to stay healthy. I mean, that's number one as well. Stay healthy.
My guy, Raider Smoke, with the super chat, man. Appreciate it. He says, Smoking Rock saying Max ain't a superstar. Hey, man, look, I ain't say it. I ain't gonna say no names.
No, man. I think, like I said, superstar talent, man, but I don't think he's not that household name yet. And until you're a household name, I can't consider you a superstar. Like how many? He got no first place votes for Defensive Player of the Year? None. Deron Bland got more first place Defensive Player of the Year votes than Max Crosby. Think about that for a second.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah,
that's disrespectful.
That doesn't happen. But see, that doesn't happen. See, when you're a superstar, that doesn't. When you're a superstar, the opposite happens. When you get stuff you don't deserve. Like you get the recognition and the love you don't deserve because you're a superstar. So even if you have a down year, just off name recognition alone, they're like, oh yeah, that's this guy. Of course, like that's what happens. Like Quentin Nelson is going to be making Pro Bowls in years he doesn't deserve to make Pro Bowls just because he's the name recognition, and at the guard position, he's a name at the guard position. So, the fact that the opposite happened for Max Crosby, even though he had the numbers, he had everything else, that just lets me know that he's not to that level yet in terms of recognition.
And you mentioned something earlier. You said that he wasn't a first round pick. When we were talking about Myles Garrett, he wasn't first. So that's something that's going against Max Crosby. And that's, whether you say it's fair or not, that's really going against him. But another thing is the fact that the Raiders haven't been winning. I think that's the number one thing. If you're talking about recognition, it's because they haven't been winning. And if they win, then Max is going to get the accolades. And I think Max even said on his podcast, I think, or interviews, they talked about like the recognition and how winning is a big part of getting all these awards and all that type of stuff. So, hey, look, I'm just saying, man, I think Max, in my opinion, is a superstar. Winning is a team thing. It's literally not a play, especially football. Football is the ultimate team sport. Come on,
not fact.
But we get it. I mean, we see it all the time. Like it's just the way it goes, man. The teams that win, they'll get more recognition. But I'll say this too: there's always going to be exceptions to rules, because the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
The Cowboys, their fan base is so huge. If you're good on the Cowboys, like literally the league is gonna be waiting for you at the door to give you an award.
Facts. Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you mentioned Myles Garrett, former number one pick. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, of course, we were right about this guy. So we're definitely gonna give him. They don't want to give a guy that's been a former 4th round pick. It's just gonna prove to the NFL like how wrong they were about Max Crosby, because 3 or 4 rounds went by before Max Crosby got drafted. So if you give this guy like any type of recognition, it's just they're gonna talk about that time and time again. And they do that with Tom Brady all the time, but Tom Brady, he kind of broke it even by winning pretty much. So Max know what it is. Hey, look, if that's what it's gonna take, I'm all for it, because at the end of the day, we want to see the Raiders win. But in my eyes, I think Max is a superstar. I don't care what anybody else says. But I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying. You're saying it based off how the league views him.
Yeah, it's not a talent thing. I mean, it's it has nothing to do with talent. It has everything to do with the perception, not only just around the league, not even necessarily around the league. That's part of it, but just around NFL fan bases, and more so casual fans. When you're a superstar, casual fans know who you are.
Yeah. Leo says he's agreeing with you here. He says, I said that last year at the beginning of the season, no lie, felt he should have do more closing out games, but he finished strong, so get it a little bit. So he's talking about. I will say this. I will say this. Khalil Mack, but he was a former number 1 pick, top 5 pick, so he has that with him. But Khalil Mack did finish games though. He was the closer. He was a closer on the Raiders football team. So maybe he's a little bit of that, but I still feel like a superstar in my eyes. All eyes on G says superstar and elite mean the same.
Nah, that's the thing. They don't mean the same.
You're separate. You're saying that it's recognition, and then you're basically separating the talent. The talent, the player, how good the player is, from his recognition, like how people recognize him as a great player.
Exactly. So perfect example. I'll put like this. Perfect example. 2 years ago, right? A buddy of mine, he was asking me my top 5 receivers in the league, and and this was 2 years ago, and I put Amon-Ra St. Brown in the top 5, and he was like, "What? Why is he in the top 5?" I'm like, "You don't know who he is because he played for the Lions." But this year, based on what he's doing this year, he's a top 5 receiver. Now Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's not quite a superstar yet, but he's getting up there. So now people like know who he is, and he's on his way to being a superstar. He's still one of the best receivers in the league, but a lot of people didn't know who he was because he played for the Lions. And now, because the Lions have had that success, people know who he is now. And now, you know, I think isn't he featured on that show, Receivers or something like that?
Hey man, my bad. I just seen something that was hella funny.
It's some wild stuff.
Man,
I've been reading the chat. There's some wild stuff going on in the chat right now, man. It's some wild stuff going on in the chat.
Aiden says Bleacher Report owner eats pizza on YouTube for a living. Can't be taken too seriously. Yeah, man. Now, I don't know, man.
I'm talking about the one guy. Yeah, he does go around. Matter of fact, he does do that. He does go around. Hey man, he put me up on a few spots, man. If I ever go back east, I'm gonna check out some of those spots, man. He be.
But going back to the superstar, I get what you're saying. If you're separating it, okay, maybe he's not recognized, but he's still top. Like if you look at, like, I can go. You know what? PFF, right? PFF had they have like a little top 32 players at their position, and I'm gonna go pull it up real quick. And I know PFF is just one source. I mean, there's other places. I think CBS Sports also had like a ranking system on players. So if I go to PFF real quick, I'm sure I could pull this up. And let's see where they ranked Max Crosby, because this is how other people view him as a player, right? So this is what you're talking about, the recognition, right? So let's see where he's at, because you're saying how the league views him, they don't view him as a superstar yet. So I'm gonna see how.
No, I'm talking about the fan, like casual fan.
Don't try to change it.
No, that's what I said the whole time. I said casual fans. He's not a household name. So while we might respect him, people in league circles might respect him. Casual fans don't know Max Crosby. That's what I said before. If you ask a casual fan who was the 5 best defensive players in the league, Max Crosby may not get named, but he should be the first or the second person you name. Like perfect example. Look at jersey sales. Look at jersey sales, right? And they just like this something arbitrary, right? These are people who buy jersey. We know Raider Nation. He's overrepresented among Raider Nation, right? If I was going to buy one Raider jersey right now, the only player I would consider buying is Max Crosby. Max Crosby is probably not even in the top 25, 30 of jersey sales. You know,
let me look that up. I'll look that up. But let's see here. Top 5. Well, it's kind of hard because he's a pass rusher. He plays a position
I bet you Aiden Hutchinson is up there. I bet you Michael Parsons is up there.
Top 5. Let's see, top 5 jersey sales.
And top 5? Oh, top 5? They probably gonna be in the top 5.
All Max got to do is just change his jersey number, and he's gonna be top 2. He gonna be top 2. Top jersey. Top.
He got to pay out that bread.
Top 5 NFL jerseys.
He's not in top 5. I doubt any defensive players top. Maybe Michael Parsons might be top 5, but top 5 is gonna usually be quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's quarterbacks. So it's like, come on, man, that's not even
top 5. But I'm not saying top 5. I'm saying just look at top 20. Look at top 25.
All right. Let's see.
Aiden Hutchinson probably up there. Michael Parsons probably up there. Myles Garrett may be up there.
All right. Okay. This is a good list. I'm gonna share this real quick. This is the year-end top 50 NFL players sales list from March 1st, 2023 to February 29th, 2024. All right. So let's see what this. I'm gonna go ahead and share this on the screen. Let me.
Jason Kelce number 2. Come on, dog. Jason Kelce's number 2.
Why is that? Okay. Man, Eagle
that's wild.
Fans, man, are crazy.
That's wild, bro. That's wild.
Eagle fans is crazy though.
That's wild.
Why is that? Like that? All right. Guess let me do it like that. All right. Y'all see it on the screen. All right. So number 1, Jalen Hurts. Number 2, as we can see on the screen, Jason Kelsey. Number 3, Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to go through everybody's name on the list, but y'all can see it. Okay, Micah Parsons is probably the first defensive player on the list. But look, it's the Cowboys, man. Let's be honest, man. They do got a huge fan base. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Just look at it like just look at the numbers. The Cowboys are, the way these networks, sports networks, gear their like topics on their show are for the Cowboys for a reason, because they have a huge fan base. So this is not surprising.
Yeah, they're the biggest fan base in the league, I'm sure.
And he's a big personality on that team. He's super talented. We get it, but I think Max is a better overall player. You know what I mean? As a pass rusher, I can see why you might say maybe Micah might be more athletically gifted, but I think Max is probably better against the run.
I would agree.
Look at Justin Jefferson. Look, there's not a lot defensive players. I don't think that's a good. Okay,
Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson's there before him.
18, and they went to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
he's number 18.
But that's my point. That's my point.
The Raiders go to playoffs. I'm telling you right.
You're making my point. You're making my point.
All right, so 18. Look. Let's see. All right, Justin Herbert.
30.
That's disgusting.
30. He's 30.
30. Oh, see, right. Guess who's right here, man. Damn,
that's crazy. That's wild. That's crazy. Wild. But that's a quarterback, though. Man, quarterbacks always get that right. And look at Amon-Ra St. Brown right behind Devontae Adams. So as I said, he's a guy that 2 years ago nobody was going to buy his jersey. Now he's right behind Devontae Adams in jersey sales. So like I said, man, he's a superstar talent, but I don't think Mac Jones top 50.
Mac Jones.
That's top 50 though. That's top 50. I mean, I'd expect that. He was a starting quarterback for one of the more popular franchises in the league, so that's to be expected.
It's true.
But so like I said, it's not a question of talent. It's a question of recognition, and among the casual fans, he doesn't have that recognition yet. I think if we start winning, he'll start getting it, but he's not getting it as of yet.
Yeah, man. It is what it is. But Leo says, I think I'm behind in the chat. He says tanking is wild. There's no guarantee that a first round QB is a franchise guy. Facts, especially next draft. We don't really know. And they're compared. I think Daniel Jeremiah the other day compared Shedeur Sanders to Geno Smith. Like his skill set.
I mean, there's no guarantee that a first round pick is going to be a franchise guy. There's no guarantee that any first round pick you make is going to be a franchise position at their player, unless they're Brock Bowers, because I'm told he's going to the Hall of Fame. I've been told that by several fans, so they just book it right now. Other than Brock, there's no lock first round player. So so that being said, right, there's no guarantee. But look at all the quarterbacks that were in the playoffs last year. Outside of Brock Purdy, all of those guys are first round picks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, conversely, you can say there's no guarantee, but you can also say that unless you have a first round pick at quarterback, you're likely not going to go to the playoffs.
Hey, man, he says Crosby's not a fan favorite. We love him because he's a Raider. No one know Max outside on the street. Hey, I might. Hey, I guess I might be biased. But you know what? I think Max is definitely a superstar. But the way y'all are defining superstar is recognition from from the casual fan. You're saying recognition. That's how you're defining superstar, which is, for me, superstar is all encompassing. I think is the recognition from his peers. And the talent, his talent, his ability. That's the way I define it. But the way you are defining it is recognition from the casual fan. I just don't look at it that way. But I guess we'll see what happens next year, man. The Raiders win. Hey, then I'm sure you're probably gonna be saying that Max Crosby's a superstar. Then
No, guaranteed. I think at that point he'll get that recognition. If the Raiders start winning, Max Crosby is going to be on all kind of because he has a great personality. He just has the look of a guy that they'd want to put on TV as a football player, right? He has that kind of personality. He's a good sense of humor, all that stuff. Has a good story. He has everything you need. Only thing he needs now is for his team to win. The team starts winning, he's gonna get commercials, all this stuff.
Yeah, you said Myles Garrett is barely a superstar. A superstar is not measured by skill more than fanfare.
Yeah.
It is what it is, man. I don't define it that way. I think that's where the disconnect is that I don't define it that way. So that's why I disagree with it. But if you are saying it just off the average fan, then I guess, okay, yeah, maybe the average fan is not going to know Max Crosby, but I'm like, man, Max is kind of like, I don't know, man. He's kind of the face of the Raiders. When you think of the Raiders, I think Max is a guy that comes up. I mean, I know you mentioned Davante Adams, but if you were going to name a player on the team, Max Crosby would be the guy that you name on the team outside of Davante Adams. And Davante Adams.
I think that's what I'm saying. I think most people. That's why outside of Raider Nation, outside of our bubble, the most recognizable Raider is Davante Adams. But everybody in Raider Nation knows that this is Max Crosby's team. Like all of us know that this team, he's the leader of this team. He sets the tone for offense and defense. But outside of Raider Nation, the most recognizable player for the Raiders is Davante Adams.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, he's had a longer career. He's been around longer. You know what I mean?
He's been on teams that have had success.
And he's kind of on the latter years of his career. You know what I mean? So it's like, come on, literally, you would say Max is in his prime right now. Like he's entering his prime. He's in his prime, whatever you want to call it.
He's entering his prime.
Yeah. So I just think at the end of the day, like, it's just a matter of time. If you're talking about recognition from the casual fan, but it is what it is, man. Let's move along, man. We kind of stayed on this for a little bit, but sometimes that's what we do on a 50-50 show, man. We have these type of discussions. We appreciate the support. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We're going live on both our channels. Make sure to hit the like button and notification bell and all that good stuff on both our channels, so we can keep coming back and doing this Raider content, man. We appreciate the support. But yeah, let's move it along, man. So that pretty much wraps up flag on the play. Let's go to notable quotables. Let's go ahead and go to notable quotables real quick. And one of the notable quotables is actually one of your favorite quarterbacks of all time.
You already know it, man.
Brian Hoyer, the all-time GOAT, and Brian Hoyer, man, the guy. Josh McDaniels had to talk him out of retirement and come back, and be a backup for the Raiders, man. It is what it is, but he brought him back. But just the other day, he was on some podcast, and the name AOC and the Raiders quarterback situation came up, and this is what he had to say. See if I could pull this up. Did I let's see. All right, here we go.
What do you think of that battle and what you saw from Aiden O'Connell at the end of last year when he was given an opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, being there firsthand and watching Aiden grow, I remember him saying at the end of the year would play out. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo was the opening day starter, and then by the end of the year, Aiden was playing. And at the beginning of the year, he was third on the depth chart, and then he ended up finishing the entire year. And I thought, to see his growth and what he was able to do as a fourth-round pick was tremendous. So maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I was actually kind of shocked that they didn't even look at possibly retaining Bo Hardegree, because when Bo took over, as offensive coordinator middle of the year, it took a while, but things really started to pick up. Obviously, we had the big game against the Chargers and then finished the year on a strong note. And there's some great skill players there. I love the addition of Brock Bowers at tight end. You pair him with Michael Mayer, who was a rookie last year who was really coming into his own at the end of the year. They added Trey Tucker last year, who was a great rookie, and you pair those guys with obviously Devontae Adams, who's one of the top receivers, and then Jacoby Myers, a guy that I've been with, his entire career, seeing him grow into the player that he is. And I think he really benefited being around Devontae last year. Devontae drew a lot of coverage, and Jacoby became a primary target, and he got to see what a top receiver looks like day in and day out, and really raised his level. So, maybe I'm biased, but I think, what Aiden did last year, I know he hasn't shown it as much as Gardner Minshew has throughout his career, but I know the guys really gravitated to the way Aiden took over and his leadership as a young player.
What do you think of?
So Brian Hoyer showing some love to his guy, Aiden O'Connell. Obviously, he was there for his rookie season, so he knows the guy. So I'm sure he's showing him love. He's supporting Aiden O'Connell. So I think there's a little bit of bias there. You know what I mean? And he's not going to talk a lot of mess about him or whatever. He's not going to say that he's not going to win or what. I think he's just going to support his guy. You kind of seen a little bit of insight of what they were going through in that quarterback room when he was like, oh man, AOC kind of told him like he didn't expect going into the season that he was going to be a starter. Like, so he had no idea that he thought he was going to be the backup to the backup.
I mean, nobody would thought that.
Exactly. And that's what was told. I'm sure that's what probably the coaching staff kind of outlined for him. Like there was no plan for him to come in and play. So for him to come in, and I think for what it was, the circumstances, he didn't do a terrible job. Did he look like a fourth round pick? Did he look like a rookie? Yeah, he did. At times. When you lose a game 3-0.
Like undrafted free agent against the Vikings.
Man, you lose a game 3-0, man. That cannot be overlooked. But at the same time, like, the offense was unfixable. You know what I mean? Like, it was unfixable.
Not according to Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer he's bigging up in your boy Bo Hardegree.
Well, Bo didn't really have too much say in the offense. I mean, I know he came in and was able to call plays, but how much can you really affect the offense that was broken to begin with? You know what I mean? It wasn't his offense. It wasn't his. So and he's a first time play caller too. So, which is another thing. Like, man, there's a little bit of a learning curve too. But it is what it is. I think AOC, if it's close, AOC gets the nod. But who knows, man? It's gonna go down to the wire, and we talked about this before. Minshew is a guy that's probably not gonna show up in the practice field. It's probably gonna show up during preseason when they're playing in real games, and you could see him make some good in-game plays and adjustments. So we'll see how that shakes out. But what were your thoughts on what Brian Hoyer had to say?
First off, I wish people would have been able to see the visual on that, just because it looked like a cutscene from GTA. Like it looked fake as all get out. But I was rolling with Brian Hoyer until he brought up like, oh, the Raiders should have gave Bo Hardegree a chance, and I was like, oh, bro, everything you said, just you lost all credibility with that one. But I mean, I think he's right. I mean, I think that, I think the Raiders, I think Aiden O'Connell made the best of a bad situation. I don't think he was put in a great situation. Now, I don't think he took the reins and did anything incredible. I think he had 9 touchdowns over the last 9 games he played or he started. But I think 4 of those touchdowns came against the Chargers. So almost half of his touchdowns came in that one game. So, and then he had, of course, we all talk about the Vikings game. And then there was a Chiefs game where he went 3 quarters without completing the pass. So he was in a tough situation. I think that he's more mature than most rookies. He was 25 last year. He's about to be 26 when the season starts. So I think he has a certain level of maturity that allowed him to handle the stuff that maybe a younger guy wouldn't have been able to handle, because he's already an older guy who's played a whole bunch of football. So I think that was to his benefit. So I think if he can just take what he did last year, kind of improve upon that. Take the lessons learned, being in that tough situation. The stuff he learned from Jimmy G, the stuff he learned from Brian Hoyer. I know both those guys was in his ear, just in terms of being a leader, being vocal, taking control of the huddle, all that stuff. And then, combine that, with the stuff he's learning this year in this new offense under Luke Getsy, who was a guy that, had Aaron Rodgers and had Jordan Love under his tutelage for a time. I think that, we can see that solid season that we need from a quarterback. And that's what I'm hoping, right? I'm hoping Aiden O'Connell takes the reins, because I think that would be the most beneficial for the Raiders. But I can definitely see a situation where Gardner Minshew wins the job. I can see that situation.
Yeah. And you know what, too? What would you say? Because it's a situation, because I know that, like, if AOC doesn't have a good season, we're drafting a QB next year. What would you say? What type is? And this is kind of like, I don't know if I want to repeat this question, but what would stop you from drafting QB next season? I know the Raiders would probably hold off on it if they go to the playoffs. Do you think if the Raiders go to the playoffs, they'll hold off on getting the QB?
No. No. It depends on how we got there. If we got there because our defense and our running game, and we lose in the playoffs because in the playoffs your quarterback is you depend on your quarterback to make plays, right? We see what happened with the Rams and with Jared Goff. Jared Goff was good enough to get the Rams to a Super Bowl, and then the very next year, I want to say they went back to the playoffs and he kind of struggled. And then it was basically at that point Sean McVay started to say, hey, you know what? This is not a guy I can win with, win the big game with. So I think that, like I said, it all depends on how we get there and what he does when we get there. If we get there off the strength of the running game and the defense, and it starts looking like we're truly only a quarterback away, then we will definitely start willing and dealing and trying to make a move to get a guy, whether that be a veteran guy or whether that be, a prospect in the draft that's in the first round.
Hey, Smoke, man. Hey, appreciate the super chat. I'm gonna actually give you a wrench, man, because I really appreciate the support that you give to this channel, and supporting the show as well. Let's see. I'm gonna add you as a mod. Yeah. Man, shout out to you, man. Welcome to the team.
It didn't. And I don't think we touched on this, but didn't Howie give a pseudo endorsement to Gardner Minshew?
Did he?
I want to say I think he did on the Rush podcast. I didn't watch the full episode, but I will say this: we're talking about Brian Hoyer. I don't want to change topics right now. We're talking about Brian Hoyer. Talking about Brian Hoyer as a GOAT. Look, if I could have an NFL career like Brian Hoyer played longer in the league than Cam Newton did. He played longer in the league than Vince Young did. I think he played 15 years, something crazy like that in the league.
As a backup, though. As a backup.
Hey, bro. Hey, backups still get paid millions, bro. Yeah. And he ain't on CTSPN like our so.
But hey, before we get into it, man, shout out to Raider Smoke again with the super chat, man. Appreciate the support, my guy, man. And I just made you a mod too as well, man. Appreciate it. So you got that special range, man. So if anything going on in the chat, man, you already know what to do. So I appreciate your support. He says Max is a superstar at his position. Hands down, he doesn't get the recognition he deserves because of the team not winning. I agree, yeah. But the players know what's up. The mainstream media got no love for us either. I think me and Raider Smoke are on the same page. I think it's really how we define superstar. I think that's where the disconnect is. What Severe is pretty much saying is recognition from, you said, casual fans, just regular NFL fans. Like if we were to just think about it from this perspective, like if we weren't fans of the Raiders or if we weren't fans of X, Y, and Z team, where we know this player, if that team wasn't on nationally televised games or winning, you know what I mean? So I think that's kind of where your big thing is. And if once the Raiders start winning, then that's when that superstar label will come. So I get where you're coming from. When I hear superstar, I don't look at it from that perspective. Yeah, I really don't care about the casual fan, because the casual fan, they probably still thinking that I don't know, Peyton Manning is still playing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, but for me, when I think superstar, like I said, it's really how I see the players, his peers view him, and his actual ability and talent, what he's doing on that team, and how he's leading the team, because literally he is the face of the team. I know you mentioned Davante Adams being the face of the Raiders just because people know him, but I think Max is kind of I think he's right there, if not surpassed him as a leader on this football team.
No, this is his. He has surpassed him as a leader.
The impact,
no doubt. This is his team.
That's what I'm saying.
This is his team. But that's my point though. If you ask Raider fans whose team this is, or who was the guy for this team, we'll say Max. If you ask other people, they're going to say Davante. And I think that's the difference. That's the difference. It's almost like the Hall of Fame. Like you're not in there until you're in there, right? You can be a Hall of Fame player, but if you're not in the Hall of Fame, then bro, you're not a Hall of Fame. In my opinion, Tim Brown forever was a Hall of Fame player, but it took a long time for Tim Brown to get in there until he got that recognition, right? So once he got that recognition as a Hall of Fame player by the people who vote for the Hall, then he's a Hall of Fame player. Before that, was he qualified to be a Hall of Fame player? Yeah. Should he have been a Hall of Fame player? Yeah, but he wasn't a Hall of Fame player. Same thing with Max. Is he a superstar talent? Yes, but is he recognized as a superstar? Not yet.
Yeah, man. I like I said, it's just the way you define that superstar for me. So it's different. I don't define it that way, but I see what you're saying. Man, hey, appreciate the super chat, Raider Smoke, man. Hey, look, we got the king of mods is in the building, man. Appreciate you coming through. Daniel Kim, he says salute Pharaoh, salute Severe, man. Appreciate you coming through, man, on a late night too, on a late night, man. The night crew, man. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification bell. If you're watching this vertically on your phone, all you got to do is go to that 3-dot menu at the top. I know it's not as easy as, you know, being on the screen just right there ready for you, but just click on that 3-dot menu. You'll see the like button. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification, all that good stuff, man. We appreciate the support. AJ Simpson says Davante Adams got Taco Bell commercials and AMD. I guess
I don't know that. I know we got a Taco Bell for it. I don't know if he got anything else.
Yeah, I hear you. Davante's definitely he's more well known for sure than Max. Like that's not because it just think about like all I got to think about is like all those years with Aaron Rodgers. Like Aaron Rodgers has been premier quarterback. Like he's been a top 2, top 3 quarterback in this league. Think about it. Every time they talk about Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams is on the team, Davante Adams is going to be talked about, along with how great a player he is, already is. So I already know Davante is a big-time player. He's well-known, so I give him that. But let's see. Let's get into the chat real quick, man. Hey, I'm trying to catch up, man. I'm trying to catch up with y'all. Let's see if you want to hear AJ Simpson. If you were to ask Mad Max Pierce if he's a superstar, it'd be a resound. Yeah, facts. And that's how I define it. But you know, it just really depends on how you look at it and what you think a superstar is. So it is what it is, man. So let's move along, man. Hey, man. Another notable quotable. So last week, and we touched on it a little bit earlier, but notable quotable was from shout out to Rush Podcast. Max Crosby, the guy that we're talking about, had Rich Incognito on the Rush Podcast, and he had a solid conversation with him. And he talked about a lot of different things from their days as teammates, Oakland Raiders to Las Vegas Raiders, being coached by John Gruden, Darren Waller, the difference between playing now and when he first came in the league. And he said he had a few things to say, but he also talked about that time that guy Antonio Brown almost was a Raider. I'm gonna say almost because he's never played a down of regular season football. Like that to this day, that's probably one of the craziest things that's ever happened. Just like, are you serious? Like right before the season starts? I mean, Khalil Mack getting traded, that was like, I was shocked. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I remember Seymour getting traded. We traded for Seymour right before the season started, and I was like, oh, snaps, we got we got Richard Seymour, but that it was a hefty price to pay for a player, for a guy that he's still talented, but we did give up a couple of first round picks for Richard Seymour.
I don't remember. At least eight first. I don't know if there's more than one.
Yeah, at least one first round pick. But definitely the most shocking was Antonio Brown not playing. And the whole offseason, we were just like, oh, man, like Antonio Brown and his offense. Derek Carr finally has a number one receiver, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to go ahead and play a clip from the Rush podcast. Shout out to Raider Resistance. I'm playing it from his post here. Let's see.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Oh, my God.
Antonio
Brown.
Oh, fuck.
Okay. Oh, my God.
Nice. I wanted him to play so bad. They had his locker.
Antonio Brown.
Oh, fuck.
Okay. Oh, my God.
Nice. I wanted him to play so bad. They had his locker next to mine. And I'm like, dude, you just got to get through the season, man. Like,
what were the conversations like in that locker room then between the two of you? We were this close. We almost had him.
Bro, like another couple of days, dude. Bro, if we would have had him and Hunter, Waller, and Moreau, and Tyrell, I mean,
bro,
we would have been dangerous, bro. He was a missing piece at 19, dude. I mean, he would go off and walk through, and you're just like, damn, bro, did he just do that?
Bro, he would run 100 yards. He would snag it on the...
All right, I kind of lost connection there, but yeah, man, he was just talking about Antonio Brown and like the type of play. It's crazy to see players like Max Crosby and like Richard Incognito, respectively, in their positions. They're like top players. Richard Incognito was always recognized when he was playing as one of the best guards in football. Obviously, we look at Max Crosby as one of the best players at his position. But when they talk about arguably best player, if not one of the best at least. But when they talk about Antonio Brown, like they were like, man, like you could tell like they were fans, like they were just in awe when Antonio Brown was on the football field. That's how talented he was, and that's literally for me. That's how excited I was. I mean, Antonio Brown, are you serious? The guy like at that time was coming off like he was not one season or two seasons removed from going 5-6 straight seasons with what was his numbers, like at least 100 catches, 1,500 yards, and it was so crazy.
I don't think he was removed. I think the streak was still. Going on.
Right? It was still going on. And we had that guy on this football team, or we almost did. And it just to hear them just.
No, we had him on the football team. He never played the game.
He just never played, man.
I remember everything that happened. I remember the speculation. I remember it was the video where we first started speculating, where he was in the gym and his boys recording him. He's like, "Oh man, you already got that silver and black on," or something like that. He's working out and like it's like regular workout clothes. It's like the black and silver workout clothes. His boy, and that's when all the chatter started. Like, damn, we trading for Antonio Brown? Yada yada. And I had a boy that's a Pittsburgh fan. He was like, "Yeah, man, like he's pretty much like worn out his welcome here." He's like, "Y'all get him. Like he gonna ball out. He's just gonna be a headache, but for sure, he gonna ball out on the field." And then we actually made the trade. And then, I remember the video he put up to Derek Carr's house and the Raider hat and all this stuff. And I'm like, super excited. Like, bro, we got Antonio Brown. That time, Antonio Brown was the best receiver in the league. He was like, I want to say like maybe the year before, I want to say he was like top 5, like on the NFL's like top player list. He was like top 5 or something like that. Something crazy. So,
And the thing is, it wasn't that like he was just putting up numbers. He was dominating.
Oh.
He was dominating. Do you remember that game the Raiders played in Pittsburgh? And I remember it was like it was actually a good game. And like what game was that? I'm trying to remember what year. And just Antonio Brown, like we could not stop him. I remember he just took a pass like a 3, 4, 5 yard pass. He just took it to the house. Yeah. But at that time, like Raiders, we all know like Raiders didn't have no defense. We had nobody to cover to match up with Antonio Brown, like to at least like put someone in front of him. So, you know, it was a tough situation either way. But man, he was just dominating, and the fact that to hear like Max Crosby and Incognito talk about Antonio Brown, like man, like the weapons that we had on offense, just naming all the weapons from Tyrell Williams. Remember, Tyrell Williams was not supposed to be the number one receiver. He was not supposed to be the number one receiver. Yeah. But as a number 2 receiver, I like that fit. I like Tyrell Williams back then at that time. Tyrell Williams would have been a solid number 2 option to Antonio Brown. And then you got, obviously, Hunter Renfrow, you know what I mean? And then a Darren Waller. If you guys remember the pivot, Foster Moreau was, you know, a young player at that time. But Darren Waller at that time, like, he was a player that was, like, turning heads because, like, man, this guy is catching everything from Derek Carr. He's been a playmaker. The Raiders had to pivot, and he became kind of like that number 1 target on offense. Like, he became that premier. But everything, that entire offense was all set up for Antonio Brown to, like, basically get off. But, man, I hate that dude, man. I'm just going to say.
Yeah, bro.
If you're a Raiders fan,
we also get burnt by superstar receivers we trade for, bro. Every superstar receiver we trade for, we get burnt, man. It was Randy Moss burnt us.
Yeah, except for Devontae. Shout out Devontae Adams, man.
Except for Devontae.
Except for Devontae Adams. Let's. Hey, that's who we have right now. He's a great player, but man, Antonio Brown, man, that right there, I think as Raider fans, we probably seen everything.
Yeah,
that was. But yeah, definitely check out that podcast interview with my guy Max Crosby, the superstar Max Crosby. But yeah, man, check out the interview he had with Richie Incognito. Man, it was pretty good, man. He touched on a lot of different topics, including Darren Waller. I said earlier, you know, he talked about that. What else he talked about? He talked about when he first came into the league. In 2005, and how, like, you know, it was a very physical game and what he had to look out for and how teams were, you know, blocking or how teams were defending. Completely different. He played against a lot of 3-4 coming into the league, and then, you know, fast forward now, it's like a lot of zone blocking systems, and it's the game today is predicated on speed and all that good stuff. So definitely check it out, man. It was a solid episode. But yeah, man, that just moves. Let's move it along, man, to what's real, what's not. If you want to let the people know what this statement would be, because if you guys don't know what's real, what's not, we're gonna say a statement. You guys react to it if it's real or not. Before we actually get into it, before we get into what's real, what's not, let's get into the chat real quick, man.
For sure.
Man, we appreciate y'all, man. Hey, yeah, no, it's all good, man. It's all good, man. We appreciate the support. Hey, welcome to the team. Let's go, man.
Can't see it,
man. Raider Smoke is part of the team. All Eyes on G is a part of the team. Austin Avila in the.
We can't see it because the logo.
My bad. This is what I play right here. Look, so thank you, fellas. I appreciate it. All good, man. Daniel Kim showing love, man. Welcome to the team. All Eyes on G. Also got the wrench, man. So. Hey, man, we don't hand out those rents often, man. So at the end of the day, like, we feel like that's definitely something that we highly value. Austin Avila in the building says, I wonder which QB Getsy and Telesco would prefer in next year's draft. He's already calling it right now. So right now he's calling. Hey, that's hilarious. He's like, he's not even going to discuss it. He's not even going to ask. He's just like, hey, bro, they're going to.
Listen, next year.
Yeah. Hey, man. You know, that's a good question, because if reports were true when Telesco drafted Herbert, I think he was more in favor to draft Tua, but then Tua got drafted by the Dolphins, and then obviously Telesco, best player available, went with Herbert. So yeah, so it's kind of hard to say, man. Who would you think the Raiders would probably draft if they were? But it's going to be tough though, man, because if the Raiders go to the playoffs, they're not going to be picking high.
Nah.
And
Man.
it's hard. It's a little early, man. It's early to talk about quarterbacks. I hope AOC is the guy, but it is what it is, man. But yeah, that's a good question. Definitely a good question to think about. I'm just hoping the Raiders QB's on the roster, or we make a trade. I've talked about the trade possibilities, but is it too late for that? I think it's at this point it's probably too late to maybe trade for a QB. And when I say trade for a QB, I'm talking about I talked about this early in the offseason. I said, hey man, Hendon Hooker, as soon as that contract to Jared Goff was handed to him, a guy like Hendon Hooker, who was, highly touted coming out, was one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Obviously, he was hurt. He was hurt last year. He's now like a good, low risk, high reward move. Meaning that if you can get him for a later round pick, and it's a guy that, let's say Telesco probably valued him in the first round, second round, third round, as far as talent, but now he's fully healthy. Would you pull the trigger at this point? I'm not sure, man. Would you trade for him at this point, or would you kind of let it play out with the QBs that we already have?
At this point right now, yeah, man, it would have to be something else done early in the offseason. I think it's a little too late to try to do it right now because he's already been in camp with his other team, going through that offense, and so to try to come in late, then learn this offense, and then it's too late for it. It'll just be a wasted year anyway. So if we wait another year, we might be able to get even cheaper next year. So might as well wait that year.
Hey man, my guy, Cool Kev, he says only Stephen Wonder couldn't find the like button. Hey man, I try to keep it as simple as possible, man. It's sometimes people kind of they're used to it a certain way. I know we're going live vertically, so I know the like button is hidden. So it is what it is, man. My guy, Cool Kev, always cracking jokes, man. Appreciate you coming through. Let's see here. Rosetown native says just tuning in. Salute to y'all both. Appreciate the late night content, man. Appreciate the support, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate it, man. Hey man, it's been a great show. Let's see, man. Oh, by the way, yeah, let's get back into it, man. Let's get back into it. Let's see here. Let me get back into it real quick. Ray Love wants to remind y'all, man, run them likes, facts. So let's go to what's real, what's not. What's real, what's not, and let the people know what the what's real, what's not statement is this week.
So kind of tie all this together. We were talking about Davante Adams being the face of the franchise. We're talking about Max Crosby and Richie Incognito speaking on Antonio Brown on the Rush podcast. So this statement is Antonio Brown is a better player than Davante Adams, or was a better player than Davante Adams.
Yeah, I'm only. Oh man, okay. What it is I think Antonio Brown has had a higher peak.
Yeah,
that's what I think. That's what it is. Like I don't think Davante ever dominated the way Antonio Brown did at a consistent rate. Like 5-6 seasons, the numbers that he did, no one's ever seen. And I'm gonna pull up Antonio Brown. I'm gonna try to pull up that 6-year stretch, 5 to 6 year stretch, I believe.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Nah, I agree, man. I agree. Like Antonio Brown was different, bro. Antonio Brown, like I said, he was considered not only the best receiver. Some people had him as like top 5 like player, period. Like in the NFL. So Antonio Brown was different, man. He was a different animal. He was dominating everybody. He could win multiple ways. He was just a football junkie, bro. And his work ethic was out of this world. It was crazy work ethic. If he just wasn't insane, that was his downfall.
He just literally. And the crazy thing is, to the very end, like teams were still offering contracts, like still were trying to bring him in. That's how talented he was. That's how much respect as far as his talent goes is like people were willing to take the risk, from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, from the Patriots to man, so many other countless teams. I'm sure that Jets game was like, all right, it's got out of hand, man. This dude's gonna just leave the game. Like he really didn't care at all. So it is. I don't know what was going through, but shout out to Mike Tomlin. Like, man, I did not know. I really did not know that it was this. It was like this, man. I don't know what did Mike Tomlin say to Antonio Brown to keep this under wraps.
Bro, I have no idea.
What did he do?
Man.
What did he do? What did he
I
say?
have no idea. Because the second he wasn't in Pittsburgh, bro, it's all downhill from there, man. Like think about how crazy, like all the crazy stuff he did with us, and then he goes to the remember he goes to the Patriots, right? He goes to the Patriots. He goes crazy on Robert Kraft and the Patriots, and they get rid of him. And then Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay and brings AB with him, and they win the Super Bowl. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm about to pull up the stats here real quick. Let's see here. Why is it not showing regular season? My bad, y'all. I should have had this up. But let's I'll get into the chat real quick. Let's see. So you're saying it's real? You say Antonio Brown is the better player?
Yeah, Antonio Brown's a better player, man. Antonio Brown's a better player.
Yeah, I can't. I want to say Devontae, but I can't. That's how good Antonio Brown was.
Antonio Brown he's a different kind of animal, man.
T.O. or Antonio Brown?
I'm rolling with T.O. still, but just because T.O. But I already told you, man, I got, but I'm probably one of the few people. I got Megatron over T.O. though, so I got Megatron.
I don't know, man. I
got Megatron over T.O. I've never seen anybody defend it like they had to defend Megatron. Like never.
Okay.
Like when you posting up two people on one, like I've literally seen him catch passes with three people around him. Like they were defending him like nobody's ever been defended in the history of the league, bro.
Right. Nah. I hear you, but T.O., man, T.O. didn't even have hands like that. Like out of all the receivers, I just the one knock I give T.O., he didn't really have as strong a hands compared to all the top receivers that would be in the same like from the Antonio Browns, Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, even Calvin Johnson. Yeah. But when the ball is in his hands, it's over. It's over. Yeah. His yak ability. I'm just thinking about the San Francisco 49er days. Shout out 415. I know he's probably in the chat. Well, I think he called it a night earlier, but
he probably dipped out. He'd be happy. I knew y'all was watching.
but look from San Francisco dominating, Cowboys dominating, the Eagles, for him to come back with screws in his and have like that type of performance.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, nah, he was a dog.
He played what? He played until what? He was 38, 30.
He played a super long time, bro.
Yeah, super long time. And what was crazy, I think he could have still played longer if it wasn't for like the off-field stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was that classic diva receiver back in the day. Let's see here. Man, my bad, y'all. So okay, all right. Here's the. Okay, here. Let me see. Whew. So here's a 6-year stretch right here. So in 2013, Antonio Brown, 110 catches, 1,499 yards, basically 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns. This is the beginning of something great. 2014, 129 catches, 1,698 yards. Damn, basically 1,700 yards, 13 touchdowns. Then in 2015, 136 catches, 1,834 yards, and 10 touchdowns.
Oh, bro.
Crazy. On, and then 2016, 106 catches. Okay, he's brought down to earth. 106 catches, 1,284 yards, 12 touchdowns. And then, 2017, 101 catches, 1,533 yards, 9 touchdowns. And then you got 2018, which is the last of that stretch, man. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 years, over 100 yards, basically over 1,200 yards.
Catches. Yeah.
100 catches, over 1,200 yards receiving, and averaging at least 10 touchdowns a season. But like that's not even. I'm not even saying it doesn't put everything in perspective. Like that's especially that first 3 years, man, where he just 110 catches, 129, 136.
And that's all 16 game seasons too.
Yeah,
by the way,
16 game season, and that the last year was 2018 with Pittsburgh. 104 catches, pretty much 1,300 yards, and 15 touchdowns. So and I think that might have been a career high too. 15 touchdowns in 2018.
Crazy.
Man, yeah. And shout out to Devontae, still a great player, but
yeah,
he ain't do this.
Nah, man.
He ain't do it like
not
that.
Not at all.
Is he Hall of Fame player? Antonio Brown Hall of Fame player?
He won't get in because off the field. He won't get in. He should get in, but he won't get in because off the field stuff. T.O. He didn't like, and T.O. hasn't done half the stuff Antonio Brown has done, and it took T.O. forever to get in. And T.O. should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. Is T.O. even in there? Is T.O. in there?
On the Hall of Fame?
He's in the Hall of Fame. He made it, right? He made the second or third try, right?
Yeah, he made it hella later. He should have went. He should have been first ballot.
He should have been first ballot Hall of Famer. And like so,
yeah.
It took him that long to get in there, bro. Ain't no way in the world they get Antonio Brown in there, bro.
Was he on
They'll
Shark
let him
Tank?
What, man?
Antonio Brown was on Shark Tank? That's hilarious.
Oh, that would be. Oh, I gotta see that. I haven't seen that. I gotta see that. That Antonio Brown may make it. Like he may be one of those guys that like get in posthumously. Like he'll pass away and then like they'll be like, okay, we'll put him in now that he's not alive. It'll be one of those situations. But as long as he's alive, bro, they're not putting Antonio Brown in Hall of Fame.
Megatron or Randy Moss?
I got my personal favorite player, just because my favorite player was Randy Moss, so he came to the Raiders and laid the egg. My personal preference would be Megatron, just because he offered more versatility, but it's Randy Moss. It's Randy Moss, bro. Randy Moss it's Randy Moss. It's Randy Moss, man. It's Randy.
6'4", 4.2 speed, and had like 40 plus, like 40 plus vertical leap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But Megatron got that too. Well, Megatron got a 4.3. He had like a 40-inch vertical, and he was like 235, like, and built.
He was more. I feel like he was bigger. But more explosive is Randy Moss.
More explosive than Randy Moss, yeah.
More explosive, hands. Damn, Moss had Moss.
Right, Moss had. They both had hands though.
His last name was a verb. Like that's a verb. That's
getting Moss. Getting Moss.
Getting Moss. Come on, man.
Yeah, but bro, like when people start calling you Megatron, bro, they call you Megatron, bro. That is. Like you're a machine, bro.
I'm with Huey, man. Moss over Megatron. Yeah. Megatron's a crazy nickname, though. That's a crazy nickname.
It's a crazy nickname.
But
bro.
Getting Moss.
But if you just watch the stuff Megatron was doing, bro. If you just watch, like Randy Moss was my favorite player. Like Randy Moss was my favorite player. So I like forever. Like all my emails have 84 in them because of Randy Moss. But
what he did when he came to the Raiders, man, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, that was disgusting, man. But if you just watch the stuff Megatron was doing, it's just stuff I've never. It's just stuff like I don't know. It's stuff I've never seen before, bro. Like just the cover, the type of coverage they would have on him, just like 3 people draped all on him, interfering, and he's still coming down with the ball. Like I want to say the game in Dallas. I want to say there was one against the Bengals, or he's in the end zone. It's like they got 3 people posted on you. Matt Stafford's like, yeah, I'm still throwing it to Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, Huey P says, yeah, I agree. Severe watch the tape on Megatron. Look, hey, all I'm saying is that Megatron, I feel like Megatron or Calvin Johnson, whatever you want to call him, I felt like his prime was kind of short. Like it was cut short. I feel like it could have been a little bit longer. You know what I mean? So when you talk about the Randy Mosses and the TOs, it felt like their dominance was a little bit longer than a guy like Megatron. But like in the time that we seen him was at 10 seasons. He kind of did the Barry Sanders route. Like great player within that time, 10-year span. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be so. I mean, I get the Megatron. I felt like that's the easy one. Someone said Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald's a great player.
He was a dog too.
Larry Fitzgerald. It's just now when you start comparing, you gotta get into the nitty-gritty. But he did have that playoff run where he was the best player on that team. Where when the Cardinals went, they almost kind of stole. They could have, like that Super Bowl. That's an underrated Super Bowl. The Steelers versus Cardinals. Yeah, I thought that was a good Super Bowl. And like Larry Fitzgerald, that playoffs was dominating. You said what?
Yeah. Said Harrison had that touchdown.
Fumble return.
Yeah,
and
man. Yeah.
Fitzgerald had that touch, like I think it was like a 50+ yard catch or catch and run, touchdown run. So yeah, man, that Larry Fitzgerald is a good one. T.O. respect to T.O. And then Tim Brown is kind of like the guy that's always forgotten. No one really talks about it.
At all, bro. Because he didn't have no quarterbacks, man. If Tim Brown has
dominated though. He's still dominated.
Yeah, he's still dominated. That's the thing. If he had like some quarterbacks, bro, the numbers he would put up, bro, it would have been crazy. It would have been crazy.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, but today's been a great show, man. Appreciate everybody coming through, man. We've been here longer than expected. We just want to come in, talk some football with y'all, talk some Raider football. And hey, we'll talk outside of we don't gotta talk about the Raiders all the time. We'll talk about some other players as well, because we got respect for great players that played for other teams, but for the most part, we'll talk about the Raiders, but we appreciate the support. Appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in. At this point, clock out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We appreciate the support. Hey, any last thoughts, man, to let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. Well, before I do that, man, I know we really didn't touch on it on the show. We talked about it offline, man, but just RIP to Kyrie Jackson. And I'm sure you guys know he lost his life in a tragic car accident.
Yeah,
he's a guy that a lot of Raider fans, when you're doing these mock drafts, he's a guy that a lot of us wanted to be a Raider. So the guy just recently drafted, worked a lifetime, saw his dream come true, and then for it to be taken from him. And it's crazy, man, 'cause everybody, his car wasn't at fault for the accident. Everybody in his car unfortunately passed away. In the car that was at fault for the accident, nobody was injured at all, man. So that's crazy, man. So, just RIP, prayers to his family. And yeah, man, I hope you rest well. But yeah, man, you guys know where to find me. It's the Severe Raider on YouTube, the Severe Raider on IG, Snapchat, X, all of that good stuff, man. I'm here every Monday night, late night some nights, but here every Monday night on the 50/50 show, man. So holla at your boy. Make sure y'all sub, hit the like button, clock in, clock out, and leave a comment in the comment section.
Yeah, man. RIP Kyrie Jackson. That was crazy, man. Young player, rookie coming into the league, man. He had a crazy story, just making it into the NFL, and then something like that, something tragic like that happens, man. So yeah, prayers to his family. But like I said earlier, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. It's been a great show, great conversation. We do this every Monday, 50/50 show every Monday nights, man. Just make sure to hit the notification bell. You'll be notified. Sometimes we go a little bit later than expected, but hey, just hit that notification bell. You'll be notified when we go live. And make sure to hit that like button, hit that notification bell. We go live on both our channels, so you want to make sure that you're subscribed to both our channels and hit the like button, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Yeah, man, just stay tuned. We'll be back here next week. We'll possibly have some content this week, but but for sure, Mondays, every Monday nights, man, 50/50 show. We've been doing it. We appreciate the support. We appreciate everybody coming through. Until next time, peace.
Just win, baby.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.